Hello, I'm Interweb Studios and today we ask Reddit what is the weirdest thing you have heard someone say with confidence. These stories range from funny to sad to surprising, so make sure to stick around until the end of the video to hear all these entertaining stories. With that out of the way, sit back and enjoy. How she called the cops on me. I'm a plumber, she called for service work. Saw me at the front door, called the cops because she didn't know me, answered the door and let me in. When I'm under the sink fixing stuff, she explained why she had to call. Then it was weird because I couldn't leave or I'd look guilty, so I had to stay around and explain that she's just insane. Plus at that point I had already removed her old garbage disposal, and needed to put the new one in. This lady was a multi-millionaire. My married friend has 3 kids. He's exhausted. While taking the train to work, a woman he always sees struck up a conversation with him, said she knows him as the tired guy, because he always passes out on the train. He explained why, so she reveals she is a hotel manager and can get him a room for free. He took her up on the offer. Which sounds like an affair, right? Nope. My friend actually has an ongoing deal with this lady where she lets him crash in a hotel room if it's open. He tells his wife that he is visiting family, but all he does is sleep in a room, away from his wife and kids. At my urging, he admitted the truth to his wife because keeping that a secret will just lead her to assume he's unfaithful. When he told her the truth, she replied, "I believe you. You'd never cheat on me. You have no game." The "no game" part leads me to believe that this lady may be trying to bang him, but he has no clue and is too tired to realize. Lol. I personally doubt it. He looks like a giant baked potato man. I met a mentally ill woman on a Greyhound bus once and she was convinced she was the vampire queen of Missouri. She showed me special crystals, she had that, proved it, and they were literally plastic jewels from Walmart. She was deadly serious and told me this after we'd sat together for 10+ hours and talked in depth. I still wonder what became of Jolie. Jolie, 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 Jolie. I'm begging you. Please don't bite my neck. Meth makes your life a movie. In an ex of mine's case, she was constantly being watched and manipulated by aliens. The CIA would employ the use of shadow people to ensure her compliance. I was obviously in on it with the aliens because I didn't think she should be driving a car, and the tarot cards told her that I was bad for her and that she needed to duck her drug dealer. Odd how quickly 2 weeks can change your life, but that was definitely the end of my part in that fantasy. I occasionally wonder what happened to her, but I know better than to look. I had a neighbor who wanted to buy a wife. He wanted to get surgery to get taller. He went on dates with men, realized he wasn't gay, just lonely. He was on a 7-year dry spell, no sex, finally hits it and ghosts the girl because she was ugly. He ended 2 female friendships because they didn't ask him out. He got married for tax reasons and his wife left him for a Bernie bro. I don't know if I think he is toxic or sad or both. He also went to Yale and is a doctor. I had a neighbor years ago who ordered a Russian bride. She was absolutely gorgeous, like a model. He was short, fat, bald, and twice her age. One day as I was leaving for work, he was out front crying that she left him as soon as she got her citizenship. Like, dude, you bought a human, what did you expect? Not the weirdest, but this one freaked me out the most. This guy the first bought weed from and hung out with. Told me he had planned on murdering someone the upcoming Saturday, but now it was going to rain and that would interfere with his plans of disposing the body. Explained his motives, everything. I tried to talk him out of it and mentioned the police, and that's when he took out and opened a little box that he called his suicide kit and said the cops won't ever get him. This box had always just stood under the TV and I had never given it much thought. This was probably like a 30-40 minute conversation. This was 6 years ago and to my knowledge, he never murdered the guy. What was in the box, dude? Some pharmaceutical drugs, a syringe, some tubing. He told me he would take all the drugs and also hang himself in the corner of the room, where he could secure his belt to the bedposts. He said that by the time the cops would get in through his reinforced door, he would 100% be dead, because he's never going back to prison, was briefly in because of minor drug charges. This was his plan for any situation where the cops showed up, no matter the charge it seemed. I'm not too much into pleasuring women. I'm like a Marine, I get in, do my duty, and get out. That's how it's done. Then later in the same conversation, come to think of it, I've never dumped someone, I've always been dumped. Honestly, as a man, other men tell me things they would never say in front of women, and every time it's like theater for me. Get me some popcorn, tell me everything, let's go. The realization that there's a reason why he has always been dumped right after saying something like that must have been epic. I sold cars. People told me all sorts. The one I remember is the guy that told me he was impotent. Why tell me? I had a guy that had eye cancer show me what was under his patch once as well. That was memorable. They'll tell you they cheat on their partner because they find furries attractive, but then when you ask how much they make for financing, you're getting a little personal, bro. That he put random objects from around his room up his ass when he was horny. The professionals at the ER are so sick of this. Just buy the proper paraphernalia for asshole insertion and save everybody time and money. My ex liked to put random household objects up his ass. He got a weird satisfaction from people unknowingly using or touching those things for their intended purpose. He was so gross. That they lost a tampon inside themselves weeks earlier, and if I could help them, look for it. Did you find it? There's a lot of weird stuff I'm down for, but that is not one of them, LMAO. I told her she needs a doctor ASAP due to the possibility of TSS. They found it and she was fine. I was in a park once sitting maybe 10 feet away from a stranger. He asked me what hour it is, and once I told him he used it as a way to start a small talk, I felt he was weird from the start. Then word after word. I don't know how we reached the point of him telling me that there is no difference between swallowing your saliva directly, or spitting it out and then swallowing it again, and that he sometimes spit on his food just to prove this theory. At that point, the only thing that came to my mind is to stand and go. There is a huge difference though. Once the saliva leaves the warm confines of your body, it cools down and starts to taste odd. Oddly enough, it is one of the only things that is likely to make me retch, and I have a really strong stomach. I started a new job and the lady at the desk next to me was this nice, older Christian lady, and she just sort of told me out of the blue that she had had surgery on her labia to look better because it was ugly. I didn't really know how to respond to that. I was talking about my hobbies with a colleague and I asked, "What are you into?" And he goes kind of quiet and shy for a second, looked a bit perplexed, and then opened up after checking behind him. I like older women who are in charge, like dominatrix, but not as harsh, like I like being told what to do. Took me by surprise that. I didn't want to make fun of him for misunderstanding me or what he's into, but all I could do was call him a jam donut and asked him about his safe for work interests. This woman told me she made out with a girl a week before marrying her husband. But her husband wasn't allowed to talk to a woman without her permission. That they think Satan has been possessing them every once in a while, and then said that they had main character energy. Once a girl confessed to me she had recently gone home so drunk that she ate an entire bodega sandwich with the wrapper still on. She was constipated for like 3 days and then pooped the wrapper out. I have had 3 different coworkers from 3 different jobs in 3 different areas of the 2 states I've lived in tell me their unsolicited story of pooping their pants. It just came up in the middle of some very unrelated stories or experiences. Once it was during a training we both were late to because we were solving a problem with a child in a classroom. IDK what it is about me that screams, this guy understands pooping his pants, but I definitely do not. A guy at work flat out told me he was a pedophile. He's a disgusting pervert and I hate him for the way he talks about adult women alone, but when he started saying disgusting things about very underage girls, that solidified my hatred for him. I've made it my mission to tell everyone at work he's a pedophile if he comes up in conversation and have told around 40 people by now. I wanted to ask the office not to work with him again, but I didn't because I want to secretly record him saying something disgusting. I've only worked with him a few times after but had my phone out with a recording app ready the entire time. I was homeless living in my car for a couple years in Oregon, and I was parked one night at a grocery store and I was smoking a joint relaxing, It was around midnight or so, and some passerby smelled the smoke and approached. They asked me if they could smoke a little bit and I said sure. Long story short, he rambles on about this and that, and we get to talking about why I'm living in my car and why he is also homeless. He ends up telling me he had been on the run from the cops going on 2 years because he had killed someone up in Washington. My dad says shit sometimes and I wonder if he cares what people think about him. A few weeks ago he told me that there was a woman he dated when he was in his senior years of high school and he was like legit Facebook stalking her. He said he would read all of her posts and comment on everything she posted or was tagged in or even just liked. He said he wanted to reconnect with her and see if the chemistry was still there and catch up with her. This ducking guy is married, to a really lovely woman. My stepmother is top tier awesome and he's over here trying to rekindle shit from 50 years ago. The story of how he ended up with my stepmother instead of my mother is eerily similar, but it infuriates me, so I'll just say this. After my parents split up and he was living with my stepmother, he told me one day that he was waiting for her to be single again so he could leave my mom and be with my stepmom. Like what in the actual duck, dad? With that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment any weird things people have said with confidence. Until next time.